Alright guys, I'm starting this video very differently. I guess I'm showing you what I would consider progress. I'm at a park that used to be Coal Temple. You can see there, alright, you can see the stacks there. And I'm just here, really don't have anything to do, and I remember that a person on my on my YouTube channel asked me to do a video over what would happen if we did chapter 7, chapter 11, or if there was a buyout. So I'm going to spend just a few minutes and do that. Hey guys, welcome to my Ocean One channel. I'm going to do a quick video here for you. This was by a viewer's request, and I got a few minutes with nothing to do, so here we go. Before I get into that, let's do the YouTube disclaimers. None of my content constitutes professional advice. Viewers that follow any advice, statements, content, anything from this channel, do so at their own risk because you are responsible for your own actions. Alright, let's jump right into it. Alright, the first thing we would have would be chapter 7. That's the worst. Let's get that out of the way. Now before I start this, there's no chapter 7 that is exactly the same as other chapter 7s. There is no chapter 11 that is exactly the same as another chapter 11. And there is no buyout that is the same as another buyout. All of these are going to have different variations, but they're all going to revolve around the same theme. What I would encourage you to do is look these up yourself and do your own research, because I'm just going to hit you with the nuts and bolts of it very quickly. Okay, chapter 7. Chapter 7 is the worst. That's where the company files for bankruptcy and they liquidate. Okay, they just start selling everything off. First in line, you know, for Fisker, that's probably the 2025 note holder, probably. First in line gets what's coming, and then anybody else after that gets after that. And chapter 7 is the worst. You just liquidate, you sell off what you got, and that's it. I don't think the note holder would want to see us do chapter 7, but that's a guess. So chapter 7 is the worst. All right, let's go on to the next one. Next thing we would have would be chapter 11. Now this is what most companies go through. If my memory's right, let's see. Let me think. General Motors did chapter 11. I think Chrysler did chapter 11. And heck, what was the one recently? Carvana, I believe, did chapter 11. Now, all chapter 11s are different, okay? You basically go to the courts and you start telling them what you're going to do, and you try to appease your creditors, and you try to work out some type of payment plan. You might liquidate some things, okay? Anything you don't need, you might liquidate. But the purpose of chapter 11 is to try to keep the business going. Now, let's see, what would happen in a chapter 11 with Fisker? Most likely, we wouldn't be starting production. We would continue to service the oceans. Things like that would continue because, you know, that would be considered absolutely necessary. And during that time, the ticker would probably trade. And, you know, it may go up a lot, it may go down a lot. There's no call in that. Now, eventually, though, at the end of chapter 11, they have to decide what to do with the Class A shareholders. Now, that's most of us, that's retail, and we're last in line, okay? We're absolutely last in line. So, do shareholders survive in a chapter 11? Typically, no. Now, they might, and they can, but typically those Class A shares are written off and new shares are written. So chapter 7 is horrible for us. Chapter 11 might work out, but you just never know. Shares might survive, shares might not survive. It's flip a quarter, man. The odds that the shares survive in chapter 11 are unlikely, but they definitely can survive. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Let's move on to a buyout. What happens in a buyout? That depends on what type of buyout it is. Is it a cash-only buyout? If it is, basically what would happen is, if there's money left over for the shareholders, basically what would happen is, you know, let's make up a number, okay? Fisker gets purchased in a 50-cent purchase. Okay, maybe that's too high. Let's do a quarter. Gets purchased for a quarter. Basically what would happen is all of your shares would go poof. They would just be gone, and then that would be replaced with the cash. Now, doesn't always work out that way, and there's lots of ways that that could actually go down. Another way that it could go out is, it's share based, where you're getting purchased by another company, and then your shares get merged into their shares, and different percentages. Okay, it could be a 10 for 1, a 5 for 1. There's all kinds of ways that could happen. Potentially we could get bought out and the Class A shareholders get totally screwed. That is a possibility too, if it's just to pay off the debts and stuff like that, and there's nothing left over for the Class A shareholders. Typically though, with the buyout, okay, whatever the buyout is for, as I'm doing this video, we're what, like 4 cents, I guess, let's just say we get 10-cent buyout. Okay, basically once that is said, just as soon as that becomes public, poof, the shares would go to 10 cents, and then that's what they would continue to trade at. And there's really no going above 10. There's really no going below 10. I mean, it's probably going to bump right up there at 0.095555. Okay, just going to hang around there. So if that were to be the buyout terms, you ask yourself, do I stick around? Do I just cash out now? And most people would probably just cash out at the buyout price. Now that buyout price could potentially change, but it usually doesn't until that's wrapped up. So those are really the 3 things and how this could go down. Now please keep in mind, this is just the nuts and bolts of how this could play out. I would encourage you to do research on this yourself. And I think if you do, you'll quickly agree, yeah, okay, he went over the main things here, but there could be slight differences. So just to recap, Chapter 7, that's the worst, we get nothing. Chapter 11, that could potentially be okay, but usually the Class A shareholders usually get nothing. They usually get wiped out. And then the final thing here that I'm dealing with is a potential buyer. And with a buyer, usually the shareholders come out just okay. Usually a buyout is above whatever the trading price is, usually. Okay, so whatever it is, we could pick a number. We could pick a nickel, a dime, a quarter, a dollar, whatever it is. Your shares would instantly go to that price, and then you could still sell those, or you could wait around and see how it plays out. All right, guys, that was done by request. I hope that helped a few of you, because I know we're all on the edge here with Fisker, because we're thinking, that any of these are definitely a possibility. We're just going to have to see. And, at 12:01 tonight, does the Ditano, whatever that guy's name is, does he come in? Or do we wake up in the morning to maybe an 8K or something like that with news? I don't know, guys. We're on the brink. Let's all pray for a miracle and hope for the best. All right, guys, thanks a lot. And until next time.